much for being here. And now to moderate the session, ladies and gentlemen, Krutika Kage, Director of Operations of India, Xperi Software Services Private Limited. Hi Krutika, thank you so much for being here. I'm sure you're going to do a fantastic job moderating this session. We have 45 minutes for the panel, and over to you.
Yes, good afternoon everyone. We had some power-packed conversations from morning. A lot of talk about equity at workplace and how we can make better each day. I know that it's lunchtime, but our panelists are pretty interesting, so I can guarantee that you will have a good and engaging conversations here. And I would like to thank Anupam for being the diverse component on the panel here today. And we would love to hear your thoughts. So the topic is challenging stereotypes, right? And how to bring in equity at workplace. Stereotype, we hear this word in day to day, that's a very common word. How do we define it? Stereotype is assumption or a preconceived notion we have about an individual who belongs to a particular gender, race, ethnicity. But that is a day-to-day life. When it comes to workplace, how stereotype unconsciously comes into play, right? It can be the job you play or a role you're performing. Or just to give you an example, in 2018, I wanted to switch my job and I was looking for roles, right? And I don't have a degree from a very Ivy League. So, and some of the recruiters, you have done some fantastic job in your previous company, but you don't have that Ivy League certificate or that name on your resume. I'm like, okay. And then I go to Acesoft for interviewing. And I interviewed, there is a very good discussion, and then I mentioned myself, if you're looking for somebody from the Ivy League, I would like to put forward that I'm not, but I have done some impactful work in my previous experience. So my founder, he says, I'm the first time entrepreneur. If I can take that jump and I have the belief and I can see the passion in you, so why not you also should get that chance. So that stereotype, right, workplace, when it comes to education, or even if you come from a particular region, people have that stereotypes, and those biases come into picture when we make decisions for organization. Alright? So I think let's discuss how to kind of keep aside our perception and bring more equity into workplace. So I would like to start with a question for Renuka, Tanya, Urvashi. How these stereotypes impact hiring and promotions, and what kind of steps you have taken to tackle this?
First of all, thank you for Josh for giving us the opportunity to come here. And when we talk about stereotyping, it is actually the conditioned habit. It is a conditioned habit. Both subconsciously and consciously, we are tuned to it, and most of it, we are not even aware that we are getting getting into it. And I feel that what matters here is our personal experiences, how it is impacted into the workplace dynamics, and it reflects our personal experiences, and all the media, peers, and everything will matter into this, bringing into this. So all the hiring managers or the HRs, they have to be really cognizant about this fact that they have to understand what is the impact of the employees you can bring in. It can bring in low productivity, and it will affect the, it will bring in the discrimination, detention effect, all these will be impacted, and it could also lead to the litigation as well. So how do we actually overcome this stereotype? So how do we take care is, I think leadership should be, it should be a collective effort, and conscious effort has to be put in by the leadership team and the hiring managers as well as the HRs to overcome this thing. And also, this is like in West they say it is black or white or Asians, but here in India we all coming to the senior folks and the new generation, and difference between them, how they are handling and how to bring in that balance in them and understanding them. Senior folks can bring in more experience, but the juniors can be, the new gen can be, they can be very smart. When I talk to them, they are really demanding, and they are very, they need flexibility, they need freedom, and they are really demanding as well. So just to bring in that balance, I think equity plays a major role here. I think we should bring in that equity so that we can handle this issue. And these are all unwritten rules, I feel. It is nowhere mentioned, it is subtle rules that we have. And it has to be addressed in a proper manner. And when the issue or the situation arises for the employee, it is better they raise it. And we should encourage them to raise it so that we can address it properly. And when it comes to the performance reviews, we give a lot of importance to the reviews, numbers, top line, bottom line, and all that. But I think this is one of the factors. I think it should be included in the quarterly reviews. So I think I feel that leadership should take the lead in making sure or ensuring that this point is added in the reviews, in the quarterly reviews, so that it can be addressed properly. And so whatever it is, like for us to ensure that we have to give a lot of emphasis on this to be where we have to be.
Definitely, Renuka. I think leadership plays the bigger role, and how what they are thinking and executing has a broader effect. Tanya, you would like to add?
Sure. Thanks. So I'll add more from Yubi perspective. So for us, it's very important for breaking these stereotypes right at the beginning. If we do not take care of it at the time of hiring, the entire experience for the employee is going to go for a toss. So we are very, very mindful of it. So some of the things that we've done for hiring are, we have a very strong bias sensitization that we do for all our TA associates as well as for all the hiring managers. There's a proper standard interview guide that we've prepared for them so that they know what are the kind of questions to ask and what are the kind of questions that you have to absolutely stay away from, like asking somebody, whether it's a man or a woman, that, okay, like, are you married and stuff. So we do not get into that at all, and we've made it a point that, the hiring managers are also sensitized. Everybody on the panel has to be sensitized. I think what we also do is we make sure that the panel is very diverse. So we make sure that there is an equal representation from all communities and genders at the time of interview. Like Lavanya said in the previous panel, I think language is key to the way you are communicating, how important and how important this piece is. So we make sure that all our JDs go through an inclusivity check so that we don't end up using things like aggressive, you need to be aggressive, because we know that is a very regressive way of doing things. So that's about hiring. What we also do is that we always keep a very close tab on how each team is faring, so that if there is a poor let's say diversity in a particular team, we'll go attacking there. But for us, diversity is not about chasing numbers, because what we felt is that the minute you put a number to it, you end up obsessing about it, and then you make some decisions which are actually not correct. So we do not chase numbers. So for example, we realized that, which is not just a problem with Yubi, but I think industry-wise that, there are very few women in tech. So what we did is we launched a program called Back to Epic, which is a returnee-ship for women trying to join back. But at the same time, we did it for women in tech. And what we also did is that we invested heavily on upskilling them first. So we had a huge like a 8-week program for upskilling them. So that's a lot of things that we do about hiring. But quickly jumping to promotions, it becomes imperative that there is a lot of thought that goes into the PMS or the performance management systems as well. So what we've actually done is we have a bias detection project of sorts, where we go through all the feedback and go back and see whether it's objective, not objective. Is there a gender bias arising from a particular manager? So that's the kind of importance that we give to the processes here. Over to the next.
Yes, I think awareness and education is the key to bring in equity at all levels. So anybody would like to add?
Yeah, sure. I totally agree with Tanya about the topics and points she has added for hiring. And to add on the sensitization of all employees, hiring manager, I think while promoting DEI, we have to make this as a goal of organization and not only to leaders. Because leaders are also human, and though they are aware, but unconsciously they can also develop some bias. So this sensitization has to be on a periodic basis, not only once for a person. So depending on the level and what kind of situations he or she is dealing on a day in and out in the organization, the sensitization content has to be created accordingly. And repetitively promoting these DEI practices and leaders living up to those practices and setting up right examples for the employees is really helping. Thanks.
So that's a very good question, Krutika, about the stereotyping. Because to me, we are sitting here because that has been introduced in the industry, that way, the stereotype, the traditional thought process, biasing and those things. That's why we're sitting and discussing here, right? So it's really key. How I see this happening, it's again, as rightly Tanya said, and Urvashi added there, it's about educating people, continuous learning, and leadership has to be involved at not very surface level, I would say. It's a very, not 30,000 feet level, at least 10,000 feet level, they have to be involved. And it should be driven by them. The expectation here happens every time. This kind of program, this kind of approach will be taken care by HR or TA, they will do all those things. And leadership thinks, okay, fine. The one straight question they have in all the meetings with the TA and HR, how we are doing about the D&I part. Whereas nobody at the leadership side, they come forward and take ownership about that. I think the key at the moment is how leadership is getting involved to fix this kind of biases we have. It could be across hiring from a talent attraction point of view, or talent management point of view, or upskilling, development, growth, promotion, anything. Because we have seen this kind of trend and the mindset coming all across the stages of employee life cycle in a company. And that has to be broken somewhere. And it can't be broken by the T or HR. We can facilitate, we can enable those parts, but it is at the end of the day, it is the job of the leaders of the company who really have to drive this kind of motive and goals. And that's what particularly we do, and that's what my motive in my current company, it should be driven that way. And so far, we have been quite successful doing that. We have a lot of value-based interviewing, the diverse panels, the evaluation criteria what we have. Initially, all the new tech panels, we have a lot of training there. I'm personally behavioral certified trainer. So I do train people on that. And also breaking that mindset is really important. And we have to have data, you have to have feedback from the candidates every interview. What exactly went well, what did not go well, how comfortable they are, right? It is a kind of evaluating yourself. It is a kind of a metric that comes in how successfully we are doing, and attraction point of view. Are we meeting women in technology, women in non-tech, whatever diversity workforce we have? on a regular basis? Are we talking to them? Are we understanding them? And COVID has added an extra complexity on top of that, because when we are meeting people earlier face to face, we had at least some leverage to see the facial expression, body language, to understand how things are. With Zoom, with the different tricks on Zoom, it's very tough to make it out. So I think COVID particularly has given a lot of options for us to be creative to handle the situation, and making sure like industry understand, employee understand, leaders understand all the benefits of having a diverse population. It could be gender diversity, it could be a racial diversity, anything for that reason, right?
Yeah.
Predominantly when we talk about diversity, we talk about women in technology, women in workforce, right? So which is, how do we implement that part successfully? Many of the companies are jumping into solution, fine, given target to the recruitment team, saying, okay, fine, I want to have 5 out of 10 candidate, 50% candidate from a diverse background. But they never go back and think through, are we ready to handle that situation when we hire 5 women? Is our company environment culture, have we really aligned our company culture to that, to handle that part? Have we aligned our policies, benefits, right? Do people understand what is the benefit of having a diverse population, right? So it's not always solving a diversity problem. I think it's a high time to take a step back and see it is becoming a trend. Every company has a priority as having a high D&I rates, but I think half of the industry is still not ready for that, how to make it effective when it comes to, bringing a workforce in the workplace.
Yes, it lot depends on what kind of support you are going to offer. It's just not about hiring, but how supportive you are going to be so that they can be productive, right? So just to add to that, I mean, you mentioned like COVID has changed the way we look at workforce or the workplace. How does that has changed stereotyping? Because there is no regional, it's a global team now. Anybody can work from anywhere, companies are hiring overseas. So what are the stereotyping challenges there? And as Renuka mentioned, the Gen Z is in the workforce, right? And their thought process is way different. So, and we might stereotype them because we kind of tend to put them in a box, right? So what kind of challenges after COVID with regards to stereotype we are facing, and what can we do about that?
So globally, if I talk about, let's say, US, or let's talk about the European side of it, other part of the Asia-Pacific countries, it's a very much aligned with the cultural thing, how it works, right? In US, the working remote was a culture, so COVID hasn't changed much there.
Yeah.
But if you talk about India particularly, and other South Asian countries here around, and in Europe, especially the Eastern Europe side, if you go, there was a big change in the thought process. If you talk to people in UK, you may not find much changes there. But if you talk to people in Eastern Europe inside, you go to Portugal, you go to say Poland or Romania, that kind of world, still you could see those kind of thinking, which has created a lot of shift. So people have somewhere forgotten doing something could be their individual choice. They cannot really expect the same way others should react and respond to a situation. Or maybe working style. We go to office, my choice. Why a leader should expect others should come to office at the same time until the work has been taken care. Sometimes people feel pride in going to office and getting the entire team there. I can understand from the collaboration point of view, it works better many times. But still my biggest question at the moment, if work is getting done effectively, then what's the need of it, right? And as you rightly said, COVID has added a lot more problem, because identifying the problem is one of the biggest issue, because we are not meeting people. And globally, like given different culture, different geos we are sitting in there, it has really changed the entire thought process. If you go and talk to any Taiwanese or firmware companies, look at their approach, they totally changed. One of the recent Gartner studies, they talk about how these other countries are picking up this change, right? How they're bringing the best practices. The KPMG has done a recent survey around, I think 6 months back, a survey about the India politics. And let's see how people are, from a 10, what is the 3 priorities candidates are looking into join a company. Nobody talk about going to office, nobody talk about that. It is the work culture and the leadership team, how they're taking care of the employees. I think that is becoming the main part right now. And that's why I think it's going to be driven like that. Though I don't know when to say pre-COVID, I know when to say pre-COVID, but I don't know when we can say post-COVID, because I don't see a very clear-cut timeline over there when actually we'll be in a post-COVID phase. But I think this is how it is, and as a leader we should be start adapting those things, start reacting situation in a very positive manner.
Thank you. Shweta, you would like to add?
So I'd just like to add to what Anupam said, right? We were just discussing backstage about this stereotyping that at least I've faced post-remote working, and I've seen that, where there are some colleagues who want to be in office for most days, and then there are some colleagues who want to be sticking to the flexibility policy, and then there is this on-site bias, right? But if you're present in office, probably you have more connections, you have more opportunities available, you can network better, you're more productive. But I think we've seen great examples of how organizations, businesses, teams have flourished, even in complete virtual world, right? So I think the whole hybrid environment has just broken this myth, and has helped break the stereotype which is around being in office. So even post pandemic, moving to hybrid environments, like I've seen this, I've faced this, but then do the results speak the same? Probably not. So I think that's where we should focus, right? That the stereotypes may be saying one thing, but can we prove it with our results that it's not true? And that's what is really important for me.
Hi, I'm Seema Ahluwalia, and I take care of HR and IT for Srivastava. While I introduced myself in this forum just now, because my elder son works for Amazon in London, and my younger son works for a supply chain company in India, and he works in HR. So one day he came to me and he said, "Mama, HR is scam." And what happened? Why do you think people would like to go to office and work? Because he's just like 24, and my elder one is like 27. But my elder one wants to work in office, and he wants to go there because he has a large team, and he expects that like all those guys who are coming to office will be more productive and more interactive and collaborative. But at the same time, my younger one, which is like Generation Z or whatever we call it, all the millennials, they don't want this thing. They want flexibility, they want freedom, they want comfort, and he just wants to work from the comfort of his bedroom and at his own time. So we cannot put people into boxes. We cannot tell, okay fine, this policy, this process, this rule and this guidelines are going to be okay for these 3, 4, 5 levels in the company. We need to come out of the thought process first. So I think I totally agree the thought process what people have shared earlier. But one question I would like to ask on the stereotype the thinking that we have over here. So if you people close your eyes, and I'm asking you a question, it's just a second. If you're traveling in an aircraft, we're talking about stereotypes, okay? So just think it and then please answer. If you are traveling in an aircraft and there is, on your right hand side, there is a CEO of a company sitting, and on your left hand side, there is a beautiful couple, who would you like to travel with? Just close your eyes for a second and visualize. You would like to sit with the CEO, or would you like to sit with a beautiful couple? Any answers? Any answers from anyone?
Just a
Maybe the audience can also say, because please.
So just a clue for everyone to answer the question.
But if you know the answer, just keep it to yourself.
I'm not going to answer. I'm hearing a clue on the lighter note. It depends on whether you're given this micro situation, whether the job is impacted or not.
Yeah, so
I'd let the newly couple be by themselves because they genuinely need to bond, so I'd sit with the CEO.
beautiful. So she would like to sit next to the couple, to the CEO.
It's a conditional approach.
Yeah, okay. So when we close our eyes and we thought about the CEO, we thought about a man or a woman? Please raise hand how many people you thought about a man. Please. How many? How many? See, we have have 80% people who thought about that CEO was a man. And how many people you thought about women as CEO? Okay, I think the percentage also is very nice. I see the last table with maximum number of hands, very good guys. And when you thought about the couple, then I said beautiful couple. So beautiful couple is like what? Men and women? We never think about lesbian couple. We don't think about gay couple. We are stereotyped. That's the education we have been gotten. The kind of influence we get from our society. So how we have to break the stereotype is very, very important. So the education system, the policy process and the kind of awareness campaigns what we start, today we are sitting over here. Thanks so much Jobs for Her for planning this beautiful event because we are thinking aloud and that's what we have to start the journey. So I think I've answered the two questions you have to answer. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Seema. Thank you. And moving forward, I think I would like to, begin the discussion further. Once we have put the sensitization awareness about, and now people are in the workforce, how do we create an inclusive workplace? So there is a diverse mix of thoughts. There is, they are open and raising about concerns. How do we make sure that any steps you have taken or which have inspired you? Yes, Urvashi, please.
Okay, thanks, Anupam. So after all sensitization and pre-work, we continuously have to promote DEI and create a culture for open communication, so that people are free to share knowledge, free to speak their thoughts, free to get their ideas on the table. Diversity should not be only chasing the number of hires, how many retentions we are doing, and 30-40% of diverse hiring. It is more about creating an inclusive culture, openness, and talking about it openly. So that the leader should be able to talk about any challenges or they are facing in their day-to-day life to create such kind of a culture to the people who are coming from the same underrepresented community. It could be women, it could be people from pride community or anybody from people with disability. So we have to treat everybody same. The culture we need to create that. For creating this culture, as I was earlier said, that leaders have to set examples by living these practices, sharing these ideas, and also giving examples how these diverse people are bringing more and more productivity in the organization, how their different perspective on the table is creating more innovative and creative decisions.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I just like to add to what Urvashi said, right? So I think if I just quote a number, right, 77% of India INC really understands the importance of D&I and how important it is for their organization performance. But only 21% of these organizations have a strategy. So I think it's very important that, as an organization, we establish a strategy to, formalize what we want to do in this space. A lot of what Urvashi said, right, around, leaders. So for me, I think, just summarizing, right, there are 3 pillars, and we've talked about it immensely over the last couple of hours, right? Inclusive leaders, inclusive values, and an inclusive culture. So I think all of these 3 in combination really drive how you can make your workplace more diverse and inclusive. Just to take it a step forward, right, now, there's a very important thing called belonging, right? So, which we've talked about as culture, organization. If there is a need, if there is a real thing you want to do in the D&I space, you really need to create that belonging amongst your organization. I read a quote, right, that, diversity is, being invited to a party, inclusion is being asked to dance, and belonging is, dancing like nobody's watching. So, which means your organization should feel, they're belonging to a particular vision, and they all connect to that, and that's what's really going to drive, diversity. We've heard a lot of good practices over the last couple of hours, right? And I think a lot of good organizations are working to make such practices more prevalent. There's one very important area where dunnhumby's done a lot of work. I talked about belonging, right? within dunnhumby, we ran almost a 2-day event so that everybody across the globe, all 2,000 people, are on a virtual event to connect to the same kind of stuff, right? And this is like moving from awareness to action. So that's like the next step, we can make our workplace more inclusive. And, we've talked about hiring best practices, we've talked about mentorship, a lot of things, right? There's one very, very important area which is about, providing guidance in community networks for very sensitive topics, which are beyond the stuff that, usually we think when we think about diversity and inclusion. There are things like, IVF, there are things like pregnancy loss, there are things like menopause, which are very important, but still very less talked about. This is real inclusion and diversity, right? If we move to that kind of an environment, where this becomes part of our day-to-day, that's where we'll hit that goal. And it's like a joint effort amongst all of us sitting here and a lot more people behind in our organizations, right? So for me, I think that's the way you can actually build this entire DNI into the blood of your organization.
Yep. See, I mentioned about our 2 sons, and then Shaveta mentioned about the IVF as well as like maybe the girl child. So I really would like to share with all my colleagues in Ahluwalia and with all of you. I have an adopted daughter, Shivani, and she is 22 years old now. She's my maid's daughter, the person who was taking care of my kids and my in-laws. Meera became pregnant and her husband disowned her because he got to know that she's carrying a baby girl in a room. And he disappeared. So the same day, me and my husband thought about that we're going to adopt her. So the charity starts from home. So the thought process has to start from home. So when we say inclusive, in our houses, when we don't allow our maid servants to use their bathrooms, and when we say that okay fine, this person is cleaning our bathrooms, he cannot touch our food, and then we are not allowing them to take the same food from the same utensils, and we tell them to sit on the ground, and we don't tell them to sit next to us on the sofa. So I'm telling you guys, what I said before in my previous conversation, the thought process has to change. We keep on making policies, processes, and keep on making terms and conditions and guidelines. Unless and until you, as an individual, start thinking that what is right for my house, my family, and for my society, as well as for the organization, we will never be able to change the mindset. So today, I just want to tell you that I'm a proud mother of 2 sons and one adopted daughter. Shivani is doing her mass communication and journalism for Velamati University, and I'm telling you, please start thinking about those things, and then we will make a difference, guys. I think that definitely deserves a round of applause for Seema. Yes. Yeah, Anupam, you would like to add anything?
So just to answer a question, Krutika, about what we have done differently to ensure that we create the right culture in, right? And as my fellow panel members said, it starts from me and my team as an individual to bring in that thought process in all kind of act you do at the workplace. And that started. So then one way of getting it done, typical training and those things. So what we have done differently here is in the form of a role play. Let's put those people in that situation where generally we find a discomfort, uncomfort situation for all this diverse workforce we have. And then see how do they react. It was a kind of role play we have conducted, and it was a very successful eye-opener for the leaders, they have changed their perspective, the managers, employees, even the college freshers. It has changed their perspective looking at things, how they looked at the things. Because many a time, even though we feel we are not doing anything wrong, so knowingly or unknowingly, we show that kind of a biasing, or we show that kind of ignorance at the workplace, which should not have happened. That may create different kind of problems. It's the only way to solve this. I brought in the leaders directly. I made sure it is a mandatory part of every leader in the group, in the company, because I manage a global tier international HR. So I have that kind of level. I can use my position to make sure that their goals and their long-term vision, everything can be changed based on how it's been translated from top to down and conveyed from top to down. So those are things I think that has really helped. And I think a lot of people talking about we should do that. I think the readiness is important at the workplace, how ready we are and how convinced we are and how much we believe to take it forward and execute that. I think that's a beginning point.
Yeah, definitely. Just to add to that, I think recently I saw an ad where a pregnant lady walks in for an interview and she's very hesitant. She is in the first trimester, whether to talk about her pregnancy because they might not offer a role, thinking that she will be on maternity leave. And there is a lady sitting who is very casually talking to her and it's like, do you want to tell them? And she's like, what do I do? What do you suggest? And she's like, you know what, you should tell them, and then she's like, yeah, I'll see how it goes, and depending on the situation, I will open up. And then after 5 minutes, the lady walks away, and somebody comes up with an offer letter. And she's like, but I didn't interview, how can I? So the lady who was talking to you was a CEO, and she wanted to know how you would, why were you hesitant? She wanted to make you understand that pregnancy is not a disability or it's a very inclusive place. Nobody should be kind of be scared to take life decisions based on your career or being a threat to your career. So I think all these inclusive practices should come from a leader, and I would like to know more about how leadership, how all of you are encouraging it and making sure these messages or the policies are practiced at the last employer, even at the ground level. Yeah.
So I'll just add on to that ad that you were talking about. I think what was also about stereotyping was that this lady, the CEO, was just sitting at another work desk and she did not look like a CEO.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that is something that we need to change. Like, for example, in the morning when I was getting dressed, I was like, acha, I need to wear a blazer or, what do I wear, a sari or something, because power dressing. And then I was like, okay, I have to go drop my son now. Who's going to carry the sari? Also because I don't wear it, right? So why just put up something who I'm not, right? And then I was like, it's a Friday, let me just wear my sneakers. But, these are the stereotypes that we need to break. Why should leaders just be the ones who are power dressing, right? So anyways, coming back to leaders, so I think at Yubi we're very grateful because we have a support of our leaders, like our founder really believes in this. I joined the company pre-Series A and we were less than 300 and I joined as the head of DEI. In a startup of 300, there are so many startups that don't even have HR. Imagine having a head of DEI and also asking me to hire in my team. So that's the kind of commitment that we have towards DEI. Now, obviously, we're a unicorn and, in less than 2 years, we've acquired 2 companies. We're at 1,300 now. So it's, that's the vision. And till you don't have the leadership buy-in, we can only set up policies, but they'll never really work. Yeah. So some of the things that we do at UB are, all the leaders, they have a scorecard of sorts, wherein at the time of their performance discussion, they have to, be very cognizant of how their team structure looks like, what is the hiring, what is diversity attrition looking like, what is the promotion rate for diversity folks. And when I say diversity, I don't just mean women, I mean everybody from different minor communities, and we also have people from other communities. So that's when I mean, that you need to do a diversity leadership scorecard is something that is associated to all leaders. I think also what leaders do at UB are they're genuinely very, vested in the whole conversation around DEI. So there are a lot of things that we have, we have paternity policies, we've been talking about it. We have 10-week paternity policy. We have a no questions asked relocation policy where any woman can, in case she's getting married or if she has any other caregiving needs, she can just ask for a placement anywhere across the globe and we will give her that flexibility. It's a no questions asked thing. We have, period leaves. We have a lot of things. Now, usually these carry a lot of business impact, right? Because people are going to go on leaves, but that's the kind of investment that the leaders are ready to do. Also, like, we've just taken an internship batch of about 40 people, which is from tier 2 colleges, again addressing the pedigree issue that we've been talking about, right? Some of these kids genuinely don't have an access to a unicorn like ours, because everybody is only talking about IIT and IIMs and startups, right? So we're going to these campuses and getting people from tier 2 cities. So I was talking about my founder. He's also signed up a DEI pledge with our investors, that these are the kind of commitments that me and my team are going to do for DEI. So I think it's really something that everybody has to follow. We are just enablers, honestly. And our win is when there are no DEI departments and we are not sitting in a panel like this. I think that is going to be the win. And it's only going to be these leaders who are going to make sure that happens.
Absolutely, yes. Urvashi, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to quote an example similar to your lines, that how leaders are setting up examples. So this is my lived experience from Xperi, where in India, most of the company, we see that maternity leaves are treated as a cost to company. But in Xperi, we have set up an example where we celebrate these kind of events with all the employees. So the thought process of our leaders is like, as our employees are feeling happy, feeling safe, and seeing their future with Xperi, that's why they are extending their family. And this is how we celebrate all maternity leaves within the organization, instead of quoting this as a cost to the organization. So we also, how we make sure that each employee is getting awareness about DEI. We curate a session for all the new hires within first month of their work itself, and let them know that what is the vision and mission of the company regarding DEI, what is our thought process, what we want to achieve, how we want to behave inside the organization, and also take this behavior outside the organization to the society to make an inclusive culture. We have ERGs for different groups like Pride, Veterans, Women, Mahogany, Girls of Color, and many more, which creates a very safe space for all these people to share their understanding, share their challenges, and also talk to each other and come up with solutions. Seeing that somebody else is also facing same kind of a problem or a challenges, and taking some mentorship from them, that also helps these people. That helps these people coming up as a new individual, upskilling themselves and talking freely about what they think of. Like Tanya, we are also launching our Women Returnee program this month. We are going to call it as Unpause with Xperi. So looking forward to have many more women who are willing to return back to tech. Thank you.
I'll just add, right? So I think, again, we've talked about leaders and how important they are, right? I think leaders have a very, very important position in the organization. They are at a position of voice and advantage, right? And that's where they really need to do this, right? Identifying what does an opportunity for equity look like in the organization, embracing equity, diversity, activating it within the organization, and then leading inclusively, right? I think that's where you set a role model example as a leader. Then you really do that yourself and you're leading the path, right? Within dunnhumby, I'd like to quote a couple of examples, very similar to what we heard, right? We've launched our Women Returnee program last year, Big Jobs for Her, and how we did this, we have, as a leadership group, right, within the dunnhumby India office, we've created bold goals, right, which are far more aggressive and progressive than what we've been doing over years. And within that, diversity and inclusion is one of our main goals. And that has really helped us change a lot of things within our organization. I have been responsible for the D&I goal within dunnhumby along with a few more colleagues. And there are a lot many changes we've seen, right? We've saw things like women returners. We've saw our diversity ratio change from like a 73-27 to a 65-35, which is a huge change for an organization of the size of dunnhumby. And I think all of this in total is very important for the leadership group to really set that example, right? Through various means. So it's the language that the organization speaks when the leader, speaks that language. So that's where, leaders really have that advantage to use their voice and their position within the organization to create that influence.
Yeah. Yes. I think totally agree with you, Shaveta and Urvashi, yes. See, there are three important things in a woman's life: marriage, maternity, and mobility. So the 3 M's are very, very important. So I think women, all of us, we need a personal board of directors. Second is the support system. The third is the mentors, as Shweta said. So if we have a personal board of directors in those big meeting rooms in the corner offices where the decisions are made, we really need to, as leaders, responsibility has to be taken by us. That whatever we are creating, those things have to be kept in mind. That you don't think like a husband sometimes, you think like a father. So if your daughter is going to work, so how do you want the policies and processes to work? If your wife is working, what policies and processes would you like to work and make? If there is a sister, she wants to work in the night shift. So as a man sitting on the board of directors table, what kind of policies would you like to have it for your sister? Don't make policies only keeping in mind the female colleagues. Keep it in mind that I have a daughter, I have a wife, I have a sister, I have a mother. So what policies are going to be fit best for all of them? So all the women, I think guys, we need to have a very strong support system. We definitely need a lot of good mentors in our life, so that like maybe they coach us, they mentor us. And then third is the personal board of directors, people who are sitting in those corner offices and taking decisions. So we as women, we all have to be the torch bearers, and we are the ones who should be igniting this kind of a spirit that we need to do something larger. And I think this is beautiful things like maybe setting up these awareness sessions and workshops and webinars, all these put together. I think India is a diverse country. No one wants to, globally it's a challenge, but we don't have a challenge. Every 24 kilometers we have a different language, different cuisine, different attire. So we know that there is a lot of diversity, but I think my colleagues, they said it's not about like maybe caste, religion, creed, or maybe other color. We have to, it's fair and, there's no fair and lovely. So what is the ad now for fair and lovely? Now we have changed the title. So, and self-excel is not for girls, self-excel is for boys also. So we need to tell that when a guest comes in our house, not the lady or the daughter or the sister has to go and maybe get up and maybe offer them a glass of water. It's the son of the house also has to get up and maybe offer water. Golf is not for boys, badminton is not for girls. Start like maybe coming out of these stereotypes. Invite ladies for the golf tournament. Invite ladies for the football tournament. And I think I'm telling you, we will make a lot of difference. So start thinking on all the broader perspective. Small things will fall in place, guys.
Yes, thank you, Seema. So moving on our next question, like what benefit do we see? Like we have an inclusive workplace, we have a diverse workforce, but how does it benefit the organization? And how do we measure the impact of these policies? Can we quantify it, and what are some of the metrics we should look at? Anupam, look at it, yes.
Okay. See, if I talk about benefit, there's plenty of benefit. I can name a few, like I said, better engagement, better brand positioning you have in the market. People start believing the brand. This is a safe place to work, right? We get a diverse workforce. We get a different kind of, it leads to, a lot of innovation at the workplace. And then similarly, a lot of benefit, we can talk about that. Having a similar set of people at any point of time, it could be any kind of non-diverse situation, it will not be able to fly as much they can. Their capabilities, their skills, their approach will be limited at some point of time, and that is why the entire world, they are behind us diversity, bringing more diversity at the workplace, and that's why they think. Now you can imagine there are plenty of benefits. I start naming, I think, more than 100, 200 benefits that we can name at any point of time. That's a very important question, Krutika, you asked, because we are putting a lot of effort, but unless we are able to track the success or measure the success for them, for any effort, we do not know how far we have done and what else we have to do, right? So measuring success is very important, and a few ways what I can think about what we have rolled it out here. at Reltio is, like we have a typical engagement surveys. So we are further breaking down those engagement surveys through the diversity population we have. How the engagement surveys is showing our diverse population, how much they are rating a leader or a group or a team or situation in those engagement surveys. I think that's one way of getting it done. I'm sure all the people sitting here from different corporates, once in a year, they must be seeing those engagement survey coming in, right? What we have done, we have changed the frequency of that and we started doing twice a year, every 6 monthly. Just to get because Reltio is a mature startup, last 12 years, we have been into that, but in last 1 year, I could see now we are ready to take that challenge and we are coming up with multiple programs there. And for that, just to measure the success of that, different metrics are very important. Right? So having those employee happiness or engagement surveys done and see that what is the response coming to diverse population. Right? In any point of time that upskilling, promotions and there are a lot of other activities what we do from a talent management point of view and just see what is the diverse population contributing to it and what percentage they have. So these are the indicators that really talks about the success of any DNI program in any corporate for that reason. Similarly, like in talent attraction point of view, talent hiring point of view also, like what percentage you are bringing people in across the stages. We are hiring one person at the end, if you look at the end result, that sounds pretty good, but it actually doesn't define the quality of the process, what effort we have put in there. Across stages, are we connecting with the diverse population or not? And that is resulting into some diverse hire or not. I think that's the data gives a very holistic picture about the whole process. So these are some of the metrics I can talk about, like that has worked really well in the last 1 year for me at Reltio. And I'm really glad to say that after I've been telling readiness work, a lot of time I have used that word, but now I can say yes, we are ready with the help of our CEO, CHRO, all technology leaders. We are starting a lot of programs. It could be women returning, the mentorship, a lot of the programs we are launching this year, and definitely that's going to help. And it is giving kind of a sense of satisfaction as a leader to me as well. We are able to contribute something to society.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add, right? So, there are a lot of numbers floating around saying, organizations who are doing well on diversity, they do almost 20% higher than in performance or growth than organizations in the other quartiles, right? So I think, again, just summarizing what Anupam said, right, that diversity, inclusion, making people feel valued really brings about a lot of change. And I'd just like to add a little bit more around the best practices we do at dunnhumby. So things that Anupam talked about, right, measuring our progress against very smart goals that we set for ourselves, right? I think the specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So those kind of targets you set, right? For example, one of our targets is at least 40% leadership positions need to be having women across the globe. So these kind of very, very specific targets help you keep yourself on a radar, right? And you keep progressing slow and steady to meet those targets very well. One more thing which we do a lot is, we've got a global survey called Gallup where we embed a lot of very specific questions which are related to how our employees are feeling or how satisfied they are with these different initiatives in different shapes and forms, right? So this helps us really get the sentiment around the business, around how we are doing on these. And that's a very measurable way to actually capture. And it's a global survey, it helps us link a holistic view around it, right? So I think, definitely, without measuring, we'll not be able to make progress because then it's a hypothetical concept, right? Linking back to, people want to do it but don't know how to do it, or, sometimes get lost in, other priorities that organizations have. So it's very important to, embed this in the OKRs or the OKIs of your groups across the grades or across the organization so that everybody really focuses to get there. And that's how you bring the change across the organization.
Yes, I think some study by McKinsey also mentioned that 30% companies have outperformed who have more than 30% diverse population, and companies have underperformed who are just into 10 or 20. So I think 30 is the minimal kind of the diverse population brings in lot of new ideas, innovations, and that definitely shows on your results, right? So quickly jumping into the last question, how do startups or SMEs can collaborate with each other
and as a group with the MNCs to bring in these DAI initiatives, and how do we make a bigger impact? So any thoughts on that?
I'm from the IT placement background,
Yeah.
and we do collaborate, and DNDI is very close to my heart. I feel that we should promote, and that's where I'm working on it. And we also invest, and we work with many NGOs also, and we work with Tier 2 cities, and then we invest in them, and then we promote them, we bring in and we try to place them. But what challenges that I have faced or seen is like companies, they talk more about the DNI diversity and everything, but when it comes to the actual placements, I don't see much. There are many challenges that they come up with, and they are not, I think they should be more open towards it, is what I feel. Because people just talk about it is what end of the day, and sometimes I feel like that.
Yeah,
so
true.
I think I really request all the companies to be more open about it, and then it should reflect really in the hiring is what I feel.
Absolutely, yes. I can take one last question because people are hungry. Yeah.
I think we can go to Q&A if you...
Sorry?
So, see, the forum like this are putting SMEs and large enterprise together, sharing ideas, best practices, resource exchange among the companies and the platform. All the leaders of different industries with a different, it's about like bringing the whole ideology to the same page, and that's the problem we are having.
Yeah.
And if we start collaborating SMEs and the large enterprises together, putting all the leaders in the room, leaders get educated, get to know, understand, because there's always a time crunch on the calendar. So they don't even know what other industry is doing, how other companies are doing, because they're so busy in their work. So how we can enable them to go and talk to other leaders and see what are the best practices are there, irrespective of SMEs. Many a times the large enterprises have more money, SMEs, they don't have money to put in, but is it fair to say that money is the only driving factor to promote those things? I would say no. There are different other ways those things can be achieved. The only thing what we need is a little different thinking, out of the box thinking, and how do we achieve those things. Sure. And that way I think that the collaboration between SME and large enterprise can have sharing multiple thoughts, best practices, brown bag, talking to people, good visiting different companies, understanding, inviting different like DNI lead for different DNI practices, what they are doing, the events they are conducting. I think that's a good learning for the industry too. And in the industry is still learning.
Yeah.
And it's good if you learn together and do something good.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Seema, see, I think definitely because like jobs for her definitely is for a placement consultancy, and you people have a subscription model. But when the board of directors or these people sitting at the CEO or the managing director of the companies, they all talk about EBIT, working capital, cash flow, and then they discuss about why you are spending money on consultants. Why can't you do a referral? Why can't you just like do a networking? Why can't you just like make a profile on LinkedIn? So those things, I think maybe if we all get together, we in Sonepar, we are part of Indifferent Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Then we are part of the Swedish Trade Council also. And there are other forums where we are part of. By giving minimalistic fee, we are able to connect and make a very strong networking. And what we have created, I have acted as a chairman for the HR committee for Indifferent Chambers and Commerce, wherein we created all the HR directors coming together, and we used to publicize all the open positions, and especially for women coming post after maternity and people who are in late 50s. So we started a program which is senior interns in the company. So if you people have seen a movie, The Intern, with Anna Hathaway, there is a person who is a senior intern in the company. So people who are getting retired, but they have a lot of knowledge bank. Not only male, but female, a lot of women colleagues. They feel that like maybe there is a lot of tiredness because of the health issues or maybe kids issues or maybe mobility. But we have created a program which is for senior interns hiring in the company. Post 50 or post 60, we have started hiring a lot of senior colleagues in the company. So the kind of networking and the advertisements, the job ads are all saying that like maybe bring people back from after maternity as well as like the people who are very seniors. So this way I think we are collaborating, but over here I think all the companies sitting in this hall and jobs for her, a few people can take the initiative, all of us can get together, we can create a WhatsApp group, we can, I know that like there's a limitation beyond 250 people, but then it will help us. We can create a forum where we can keep on exchanging. There are openings and then we don't have to depend upon consultants. And I think our CEO MDs are also going to be very happy if we do a networking and a referral. So, yeah, thank you. Yes.
I'll just probably reiterate, and in just 1 minute, okay? I'm not going to take more time. So I think I want to give a big shout out to Jobs for Her, right, for being a catalyst and actually creating this collaboration in the industry. And I think we can do a lot more work here. So big round of applause for Jobs for Her team. I think you guys are doing a great job, and this is the need of the hour, right, to give the right platform. So I'm sure a lot of people sitting here, of course, after you have your lunch, we will definitely find ways to collaborate more amongst each other and through Jobs for Her to really take this initiative across the board, right? So, well done to the team.
Yeah. So just to add to that, I think challenging the stereotype and bringing more equity, it lies in collaboration and how leaders are taking ownership, right? It's not only HR or people team or culture teams. I think as leader at every manager level, we have to assess and then reassess what is working and what is not. So collaboration and education awareness, these are some of the key points we should do. So with that, I think, yes, we'll end our session. Thank you. Thank you, all the panelists.
Thank you, Krutika, and thanks to our panelists. What a fantastic session. A very, very, very valuable thoughts and insights shared. May I request you all to put your hands together for the panel and, of course, Krutika, the moderator.